We just got the big 5.8 mid-season patch. We'll go over some dev updates and clarifications there. That also leads us onto some community mentionables and updates with that, where we have a ton of really cool stuff to feature. We do have some additional updates from the live stream with Oscar, as well as a whole bunch more. What's up, world? It's Utopia back in with another video. Today we're checking out all things the finals. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Get into patch 5.8. We'll kind of summarize the patch notes so that we're not here all day. We'll also go over the major changes as well as what we're seeing overall with the community. So first up here, of course, we have Oscar with their opening statements. He does go on here to say that the mid-season update 5.8 is live, that they've arrived at the heart of the season. It gets some exciting events and a lot of balance changes and a ton of fixes to make the finals just that much better. First off, it's time to take a spin on the Wheel of Love. He does go over the new rules with the Wheel of Love. Yes, we did have this one for Halloween as well, where they have made some changes there. This time, if you do land on a duplicate item, you'll receive a partial ticket. If you collect 4 of those, you can earn a new ticket to spin again. And if you do complete the entire wheel, you'll get the Arena Emerator outfit, which you can see in all of its glory here. Now, he does have 2 other brief mentionables here. First up, he mentions the Reddit AMA. That's happening on February 19th, which will include himself, Rob, Dusty, and a member of the game team. They will have more information later on. Of course, as always, I will cover the entire AMA, and I'll be sure to try to include nearly every single question asked and answered, just like we had with our last Reddit AMA. He also does mention this during the live stream, but he also put this here on the opening statement, and that is the stun gun rework on the horizon. They do have some planned changes for it in update 5.10, where they do mention that the stun gun does need some sort of love. Now, they're not going to bring it back to what it was in Season 1 or 2, as Oscar did mention on the live stream, but that they will be updating it in some regard there. Moving over to the patch notes side of things, where we get into our balance changes, as they did mention that we were getting a ton of balance changes with 5.8, and yes, they did quite a few here. So first up, the breach charge has a faster throw time, now from 0.9 to 0.6 seconds. Do like that. I also hope they kind of work on the remote. I've had a bit of issues for it. I've also seen it pointed out on the subreddit, but that is a minor gripe with the breach charge. We also have the Lockbolt launcher here, where they have increased the activation grace. They've reduced the pull distance and added 5 damage to targets, and now tethers do break appropriately when they do go through a gateway. Now, there was quite the massive dev note here, but this does pertain to the changes they made with cash out. So first up, they reduced the percentage awarded for depositing 30 to 20%, and they've increased the reward for completing a cash out to 80%, obviously to coincide with that percentage loss there from the beginning start or the depositing. Ranked tournaments also saw an increased cash loss on team wipe from 10% to 15%. Now, there was quite the long dev note here for the game modes, where they said that changes to the deposit cash values in Season 3, they noticed an increased number of teams adopting to this new plug meta. Essentially, teams were just focusing on depositing cash boxes and not essentially trying to get wipes or get cash boxes back, or at least when they were plugged into the cash out station. However, they always wanted to encourage the playstyle of teams focusing on depositing and protecting cash outs, rather than third-partying already active cash outs. But the plug meta has become too common, and they said that it leads to bad team play experience. So they have made those adjustments here to hopefully nudge teams away from focusing on the plugging meta, while still trying to reduce the incentives for third partying. Next up here, we saw a bunch of specialization balance changes. Charge and Slam got reduced damage across multiple stages here, which does include the initial impact, subsequent hits, as well as the ground slam. They said that Charge and Slam has been quite high for some time and is especially punishing for light players. They said especially used in repetition. They're hoping these new values will offer a much fairer experience. I'm a bit biased there as a light player, but yes, I do feel like they were quite strong. Hopefully the newer values do feel a bit more fair, although I know there's a lot of discussion on this that we'll go over in a bit. Now, for the dematerializer, they've shortened the object dematerialization time, and they've also added the ability to remove props from wall segments. So a nice little quality of life change there. The Guardian turret now has a faster pickup cooldown, so you can move it around a little bit more. It's actually a lot faster, from 8 to 3 seconds, so quite the change there. The Winchclaw also saw another nerf here, reduced its range from 12 meters to 10. That does move us onto the weapon balance changes here, where the Cerberus increased the pellet damage as well as improved reload times. CL40 had smaller projectile radius and now reduced self-damage, while the sword actually did get buffed where its secondary attack got increased again. That's after it had been decreased. And as the dev note mentions here, it basically got its reverted change back to 4.6, where it now has a more consistent length. The dagger added some slight adjustments to FOV when charging up a secondary attack to make it clearer when the attack is at maximum charge. FAMAS had decreased fire rate as well as decreased damage per pellet. That same thing applies to the LH1. The model had decreased to its damage, but it increased the min damage fall-off multiplier from 0.6 to 0.7. As they explained here, meaning the model 1887 retains the same damage at max range. The Pike 556 got an increased damage from 47 to 50, while SR84 got decreased bolt action animation duration from 1.25 seconds to 1.05, and slightly increased the SR84's rate of fire. They've also slightly increased his damage by 3 points. We did get some additional bug fixes here, where for gameplay they fixed issues with movement, vaulting, grenades, and object interactions. Maps got some additional performance, and they fixed various map-related bugs. They also fixed loading screens, matchmaking, and emote display for the UI, which if you haven't seen already, we did get some brand new loading screens. They've also changed out the UI to increase the number of emotes you can equip to 8. That was a huge fan request we had in the last patch notes, so pretty cool there overall. For stability and performance, they upgraded XESS SDK to 1.3.1, so Intel and even AMD users can rejoice on that and get some XESS usage out of that. As of right now, XESS is a lot better than FSR, at least it has showcased in some performance tests, as well as quality, and more than likely you're not going to want to use FSR's frame gen, as it's just not up to par with DLSS right now, or at least NVIDIA's implementation. And yes, I will make a correction from my last video. Unfortunately, we did not receive DLSS 4. However, we did receive DLSS 4 frame gen, so if you do have a 4000 series or newer graphics card, you can enable that. I have a tutorial on my page if you want to check that out. I'll link to it down below. Now, there was some people who are using NVIDIA Profile Inspector to basically force DLSS 4. They have currently disabled that under the security and anti-cheat section here. Really not sure why, if that was causing issues. I also believe it didn't even work in the finals. There is another way that you can actually enable DLSS 4 and hard code it in. However, more than likely, I would not recommend doing so. As of right now, it seems like they don't want people to do that. Hopefully, we do get some transparency there when we're getting DLSS 4, or when we can implement the override, as Marvel Rivals and several other games have received that change or that override already. But they did also improve the anti-cheat method here and some performance and reliability as well. Also, if you didn't notice during the map section showcase, or the map changes there that we got for the performance section, under the Sys Horizon, we did actually get a teaser for CNS. So they capitalized the letter C here in pieces, as well as the N in hanging, and the S in droid. So yes, we did get another, which seems like all but confirmed at this point, CNS teaser. Moving on to the changes of the patch notes, we actually did receive a new store update and a new event update. So I did go over that briefly. Of course, we did get the new Wheel of Love. However, we also did get a ton of brand new sets in the shop. This does actually include 5 new items and sets in the shop. First up, we did get the Extra Cozy set, as well as the Hover Heart, the Affection Blast, a Heartbreaker set for the weapon skins, and last up, the Sweetheart, which is a full-on outfit. So a ton of new cosmetics for the Valentine's Day season, as well as that new Wheel of Love. There is some additional cosmetics here, though, that you can earn completely for free. So as Oscar does highlight here, we have the Twitch drops that just went live, and there are 3 different items you can get here. So for 60 minutes of watch time, you can get yourself the Heartfelt Tribute Gun Charm, and 2 additional t-shirts here if you watch for 90 and 120 minutes respectively. One saying I love player 1 and another one saying I love player 2. So some cool couple t-shirts there if you do play the game together. And those are live as of right now, as they did go live with Oscar's community stream. Now, other than the stun gun rework, there actually was another mentionable on Oscar's live stream, or the community stream, and that was about Power Shift. Now, of course, as you may know by now and probably have guessed, I do love Power Shift. It is my favorite mode within the finals currently. I was actually really excited to hear about this, but he does mention that Power Shift is getting a couple of new maps here soon. Now, he doesn't give a timeline, and we don't know how soon that actually is, but they are looking to implement Power Shift on a few more maps. I'm guessing that's going to come out around Season 6. That's my speculation, at least overall. I am really hoping that we do get some more maps, and they do bring those out sooner with each update, or with each new map. Hopefully we get a ton of new Power Shift stuff there. But I'm finally glad they're adding some much needed more maps to that playlist. Although some of the winter changes on some of these maps have really helped with it changing a little bit, at least with the overall theming and outlook. I am hoping that we eventually get to a point where they have day 1 support for Power Shift. Last up here, we do have our community mentionables. But first up here, this video is absolutely incredible and you need to check it out. I'm not going to showcase much of it aside from a screenshot or two, but the work that went into this video is absolutely insane. This was entirely community done, and really is honestly up there with Embark's quality of trailers. They even got a shout out from the Reach the Finals YouTube page, which is the official YouTube channel. Absolutely insane what this person has done. They did this entirely in Unreal Engine 5. It is super cool and really worth to check out. So I will leave a link to it down below. Now with our community mentionables, we have had some discussion with the patch 5.8. Seems like some haven't really been very happy with some of the changes, especially people that do main, heavy, and medium classes. People feel like this season tailored much more to light overall, which I do think is probably the case. Although heavy and medium got love with the past seasons, so I think it's okay that they've had meta changes and workarounds there. I get not everybody can be happy at that point, although maybe I have a bit of a bias there since I am a light player, and I really did think light needed somewhat of love. It still seems like light isn't really played in competitive either, although I could be incorrect about that. I know it wasn't really played a lot during the first couple seasons as well as into 3 and 4. I'll pass that off to you guys though. How do you feel about the balance changes overall? Maybe we'll do a bit of a poll if you like them or if you think they were balanced or good enough. I am curious though, there's a lot of discussion on these balance changes over on the subreddit as well as just the Discord in general. Again, I think they just wanted to shift around the meta a little bit and I'm kind of glad they did. That's my take on it overall. I think that the constant meta shifting is nice. We did have one more dev related community mentionable here, where Rob does talk about a future bundle that he wants to make. So we did get a little bit of a teaser here what we might be seeing in the future store items. Seems like he does want to take some suggestions there. What weapons and gadgets should they place the reptile skin on? Pretty cool there, and a little bit of a sneak peek for some future items. Of course, with our last minute mentionables, we do have those from my community, which is specifically related to those who make it on the Star Models page. This one is specifically from Walta, and he's calling this one Samurai 2099. Definitely giving off some cyberpunk vibes here. I think this one looks really, really cool overall. And it even seems to look quite different in different lighting schemes here. I just think a fun one to mix and match with, especially with how it looks in different lighting. Although I do believe he's mix and matching here and using the shoes that gray tone outfits. I've done that with a few and I think it looks really cool overall. That should cover for today's video. If you like, and subscribe, and until the next one. Deuces.